Okay, let's start with spelling class. Unit number 11, Blockades through the centuries. That is the title of the unit. So open your book, page 108, where we have that story. As you know, in each of the lessons, we have its story, and we have some words that they are highlighted blue. So it means that we're going to know the meaning of these words. So I'm going to share the audio so everybody follow the reading of this story. Just let me share the audio and let me know if you listened.
Blockades through the centuries. Report.
Yes, I listened.
In the past, countries at war have used ships, weapons, and troops to carry out blockades. These actions stop all supplies and people from coming into a city or country. History gives us many examples.
Did you listen to the audio class? Yes or no? Yes.
Of how blockades have been used effectively. History
Yes.
also shows us that blockades can be defeated. The
Yes.
French and Indian War, 1754 to 1763. In the mid-1750s, the French and British began fighting over land in North America. Native Americans, extraordinary warriors who knew how to fight with both guns and simple handmade lances, did not want to lose lands to the British. Therefore, they joined the French soldiers. Then, in 1757, the British began using warships to create two blockades. One was off the coast of France. The other was off the coast of Canada. The blockades helped bring about a British victory. The Revolutionary War, 1775 to 1783. After the French and Indian War, the British taxed the American colonies heavily. Laws were made in England, and colonists had no say in them. The colonists chanted, "No taxation without representation." When their cries were ignored, the colonists rebelled. The Revolutionary War had begun. During this war, the British Navy blockaded the city of Boston. Americans could no longer receive supplies or ship them to be sold overseas. In response, General George Washington made a decision that reflected his skillful leadership. He had a cannon placed atop a hill overlooking Boston Harbor. The British saw the weapon. It was elevated and pointed toward them. They knew that they were at risk of being blown up, so they left the harbor and ended the blockade. The Blockade of Berlin, 1948 to 1949. In modern times, airplanes and submarines have been able to bypass blockades. As a result, blockades are often no longer practical and in some situations, even pointless. The Blockade of Berlin proves this. In May 1945, at the end of World War II, the city of Berlin was divided into two parts. Russia had control of the east side. The United States, Britain, and France controlled the west side. In an attempt to gain more power, Russia blockaded the roads and rails. The reaction of the United States, Britain, and France was heroic. Airplanes brought food and supplies into Berlin. This was called the Berlin Airlift. Soon after, Russia reopened the roads and rails. The Blockade of Haiti, 1993. In late 1991, Haiti's army overthrew its president, Jean-Bertrand Aristide. However, peacemakers wanted to force the army to allow the president to return to power. To help do so, the United Nations blockaded the country in 1993. The results were harsh. A missionary working and teaching in Haiti said that the blockade hurt the Haitian people more than the army had. Over time, the lack of food, gas, and other supplies created despair in the country. In the end, the blockade worked, and the army allowed Aristide to return to power. Toxic Waste Blockade, 2006. In 2006, an international organization, Greenpeace, took action to stop pollution. It knew that ships were dumping toxic waste into the oceans. The waste was capable of making thousands of people sick, so Greenpeace used its ships to blockade cargo ships in some of the ports. The group forced the ships to find better sites for disposing of harmful waste.
Okay, that is the story of unit number 11, Blockade through its centuries. What do you understand about this story, class? Comments about the story.
That Greenpeace took action to stop pollution.
Do you understand what is a blockade? In the story, it mentions a lot of times it says the French and Indian War. When there was a revolutionary war, there was a blockade also, the Blockade of Berlin, and then it says of Haiti, and then, so it mentions a lot of this word. Do you understand what is a blockade?
Me? No.
Claire?
No.
No? Look at this picture. It says a British blockade. Sorry. A British blockade kept ships from entering or leaving Boston Harbor. Look at this. There were some ships from entering or leaving Boston Harbor. There was a blockage. Como un bloqueo. That is a blockage through the centuries. There were, it was mentioned in the war, for example, at the end of the World War II, that it was in 1945. There was also a blockade, but it doesn't make sense. It was pointless. So now they decided to use a blockade to not block the ships or any other things. Like this, look at this. There are some pictures here showing what happened through the centuries. So in these times, those times, we haven't, none of us has born those times, but through that history, we can have an idea and we can know what happened in those times. Now, let's go and find the wars. In page 110, 111, we have those wars. You finish, you work, and you write the answers in the spaces, and you fill in the blanks. Yes. Okay, now pay attention to the explanation. Now, pay attention to the explanation. You can start working this, but pay attention. So if you have any question about the meaning of this word, don't forget that you can ask. Now, let's see number one. The word we have is blockage. So blockage, it means to close off or keep people or supplies from going in or out. As I was telling you, it's like to close, to make a barrier, to stop, to not let people or ships or cars to move from one place to another because there is something that it's making a block. So blockade means to block the path, to block the street, to block the sea so ships cannot go in and out. So that is blockade. The closing off or an enemy nation, city, port, or area, usually by the military. Something that closes off or keeps out. It says during the Civil War, the Union forces used the land and sea blockades to cut it off the city of Charleston, South Carolina. So blockade is to block the way. What about chant? Look at the picture. They are playing, but they are chanting. They might be chanting. Chanting means to sing. To sing, to recite in a tone that might not vary at all. I often chant when jumping around. It can be a song, yes, chant. It can be a song in such a tone, words or phrases repeated in rhythm. For example, when you're in a soccer match, if you go to the stadium, I don't know if you have the opportunity to go, for example, to see Olympia, Motagua. So you can be chanting. You can be chanting, for example, Vamos, Leo. So when you're saying that, all the people in the stadium, they start saying and singing, chanting the same. So that is chanting. You repeat the same phrase like singing. So if you are you like Olympia teams, the soccer, to watch the soccer, you might be chanting sometimes. So that is chant, to sing or recite some things. Or we have number 3, that is despair. What about this word? Despair is a feeling. It's a feeling that you can give up. So it means that you're not going to continue having hope. You lose the heart because it says we despair of ever seeing them again. For example, when you don't see again your dog, or you know that you're not going to see someone because that person is going to travel to another country, so you despair of seeing them again. So you have this feeling, you give up to have hope because you know that the person is going to start in that new country and it's not going to return maybe. So that is despair. Total loss of hope, a cause of loss of hope. I fear changes to despair, a person might give up trying. Or for example, your dog, if you lose your dog and you're looking for your dog and then you despair because you know that you're not going to find it, you lose the hope. So that is despair, it's a feeling. What about elevate? That is the word number 4. Elevate means to lift up. So elevate, for example, when you elevate, it's to raise. You raise your hand, so you elevate your hand to lift up, to raise in a position or rank, to raise the moral level of something. For example, we have an example that says, if your foot is swollen, your doctor might tell you to elevate it. So you're going to have your legs in that position, in the elevation. So that is elevate. What about word number 5? It's extraordinary. That word means something that it's we can say unusual, unexpected. It's something that it can be rare because it's out of this world. It's extraordinary what this boy is doing. He has an extraordinary singing voice. So it's something amazing. It's something great and exceptional. So it's a contrary of being something usual. So we have the antonyms also. Remember that we have synonyms and antonyms in each of these words. So any question of the meaning of word 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Questions? One word that you are not clear about the meaning of this word.
That number 2 means.
Number 2, Rebecca, thank you. Chant. Chant is when you're singing, you're reciting something. For example, when you're playing, which is the phrase that you repeat the most when you're playing? There, you might have some phrases that you might repeat it. You're like singing, chanting. Khaled, your microphone, please. For example, I was giving you the example of the soccer match. It says, at a soccer match, the chant of the thousands of fans excited the teams to do their best. When I don't know if you have the opportunity, Rebecca, to go to the stadium to watch when people there soccer team. So the people on the stadium, they start chanting, they start singing to give cheer to their teams, to the soccer players. So in this way, they start repeating the same thing. They're repeating the same thing. I was giving you the example of the Olympia, for example. They say, Vamos, León. So they're repeating the same, all the people. They're repeating, Vamos, León. They are like singing that phrases. So in this way, they are going to cheer. They are going to cheer the soccer players to do their best. And when they listen that, they have like a feeling that they need to do their best for that people that they are chanting, that people that they are singing for them to do their best. Yes? I don't know if it's clear.
Yes.
Yes?
Thank you, Miss.
Clear. Any other question, class? Any other word that you don't it might not be clear from 1 to 5 or not? Not? Okay, let's check number 6, 7 until 12. We have number 6, the word that, okay. Let me share one more time, sorry. We have number 6 that is heroic. That is number 6, right? Yes. What does it mean? It means to be brave, to be noble, to be noble. It's to be, for example, the heroic deeds of ancient warriors are legendary. So it's heroic. It can be used as words for someone that it's have the courage. They have the courage. That person is fearless. Tell me, Khaled.
I have.
It's about the class? It's about the words? Yes? Okay, tell me.
Missionary.
Which one?
The 7th one, missionary.
Okay, you're in number 7. Let me explain number 7. Number 7 is lance. What does it mean, lance? A long metal tipped weapon used by knights or soldiers on horseback, any sharp pointed instrument that resembles such a weapon. So a lance, it's something made of metal. It's something made of metal that these people in the ancient times they used when they were in a fight, they were in war, they used the lance.
In Spanish.
Como una lanza. We can say lance in Spanish, lance, it might be.
Yeah.
Also, it has another meaning, to pierce with or as if with a lance to open a wound. For example, a doctor may decide to lance an infected blister. So it might open the infected blister that you might have in your fingers in order to put any medicine, any things to help you with that blister. So lance, it has 2 minutes. It might have 2 minutes. Number one, that it's something that they use when they were in a horse, they were fighting, they have a lance, or also it can be to open a wound. Now, what about number 8? We have missionary. Missionary is a person that have an assignment. This must happen when they are in a religion. They go to another country and they spread the word of Jesus Christ. So it might be for charity work. They are not going to get paid for that. So it's a missionary. They have the mission, so they have to accomplish that mission. The life of a missionary requires courage and dedication. Also, we have the meaning that missionary, that it means related to or involved with social and assignment. As I was telling you, it's an assignment. That person has an assignment to do something. Might be talk about religion, or it might be talking about something else.
Missionary is misionero.
Misionero in Spanish, that's right. It's a preacher. Now, what about number 9? We have pointless. Pointless means having no meaning or effect. It's something that it's not important. It doesn't make sense. It's meaningless, worthless. So that is pointless. Something that it's pointless to continue a conversation. So it means it's not important to continue the conversation because they're not getting something. So it's pointless. It doesn't make any effect if they continue with the conversation or not. What about number 10? We have the word reflect. Reflect means to throw back as heat, light, or sound. For example, look at the picture here. Look at this picture. The clouds reflect, yeah, that is in Spanish. The clouds reflect on the lake surface. When you see that there are some trees, there are some clouds, but they are reflected on the lake. So that is reflect, to show something, to copy, to equal. As Caletsan in Spanish, reflejarse, that is reflect. What about number 11? The word is site. Site is a location, a scene or place where something was or will be. For example, Yorktown was the site of a Facebook battle. So the site is a place. It's a place, a position where something or someone can be. And the last word is toxic. What is toxic? It's a poisonous or deadly. So it means that, if, for example, a gas mask can filter out toxic fumes. So toxic is something tóxico in Spanish, I would say. Questions about this word from 6 to 12 class. Any comment or question about this words? No?
No.
You understand all the meanings of all these words?
Yes.
Yes, Kale. Yes, Kiara. Okay. Okay, let's go now to work in the next. Thank you. In the next page, 112. We're going to complete according to the meaning of these words. Okay. So let's see, Khaled. Help me to read sentence number 1, Khaled.
A cartoon superhero also has a superpower.
What is a word that match in that space? How are the powers? Toxic, pointless, missionary, or extraordinary?
Extraordinary.
Letter D, that's right. Letter D. You can circle, or also you can write the answer on the space. Number 2, Alberto. Read sentence number 2, Alberto. You're muted.
A wartime, a country may use to keep supply from reaching the enemy.
Okay, to keep supplies from reaching the enemy. What are they going to do, class, in order to block the path of these supplies?
Teacher.
Marcelo,
Copy or write?
you need to complete this. It's okay if you just circle or you just write on the space as soon as you complete it.
Circle or write?
It's okay, both. You can do both or just circle or just write.
Or do anything.
No. Number 2, class, what is the answer? In wartime, a country may use a blockade to keep supplies from reaching. Remember, the blockade is to block. They make like a barrier. They can make like a wall. Yes. So in this, remember, it's a wartime. So they want to win and they want to block the enemy. So they make a blockade. Number 3, Rebecca, read number 3.
In Spanish, Miss Blockade in Spanish es bloquear.
We can say that. Number 3. Rebecca, number 3.
To increase a person mark or position is to that person.
To increase, to
Reflect.
have more. No, you increase the position. So it's down now, that it's going to be up. It's going to be, which word it means like up. You elevate the person. You elevate the position of the person. Thank you. Number 4, Andrea, read number 4, Andrea.
Is a long spear with a metal point. A blockade?
No, it's something that they use when there is a horseback and they're fighting. It's made of metal, it says.
Despair.
No. It's lance, number C, that's right. Number 4 is lance. Lance, we're in number 4, Andrea. Number 5, Sian, read sentence number 5.
If you lose heart when this you badly, you despair.
You despair, excellent. That is the answer. Letter C, that feeling, you despair. Number 6, let's see, Camila, number 6.
As me.
Read sentence number 6, Camila.
A brave person whose actions seem larger than life is Ariel.
Heroic individual. Excellent. Letter 8. Santiago Chavez, number 7, Santiago.
Number 7.
Yes. Read the sentence, Santiago.
Mother Desiree was a famous who helped the poor.
No,
Pay
attention, pay attention. Mother Teresa was a famous
Missionary.
missionary. Excellent. Letter B. Thank you, Santiago Chavez. Now, let's see number 8. Number 8 is going to help me, Isabella.
The place where a home is built is called its site.
It's side. Excellent. Letter C. It's the place where it's located. It's side. Donnie, number 9.
A remark is the one that has no meaning. Pointless.
Pointless. Perfect. Number 10, Joshua.
Number 10.
Yes.
A song or hymn that it's mostly in the same tone is called a A lance.
No, it's not lance.
Chant.
Chant. That's right. Thank you. Chant. Remember the chant? It's singing. It's a song. It can be
Chant.
song or it can be just a rhythm that you are making. Fernando, number 11.
Toxic.
Something that is poisonous may be described as toxic.
Toxic. Excellent. Letter C. Marcelo, number 12.
When a surface gives back in image, it's said to that image. Reflect.
Reflect. Excellent. Letter A. To reflect that picture, that image about something.
I
Did
finish.
you finish class? Did you complete it in your book, page 112? Yes.
Yes.
Finish.
Okay, we're going to stop
Yes,
the
Miss, I
class here. Show me your notes, your books, please. Show me your books. Okay. Finish. Remember that you don't have homework in the class of spelling. Okay, excellent. Let's finish here.
Bye,
Let's
Miss.
finish here. Bye bye bye
I
bye.
finish.
Bye, Miss. Bye, bye, bye,
I
bye, 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 bye.
finish.
Bye 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 bye.
Ay.
This is just to observe the reaction when you